Welcome back. We now reach Lestrygonians. In Book 10 of the Odyssey, Odysseus tells how, after leaving Aeolia for the second time, he and his ships come to the land of the Lestrygonians. A scouting party explores the island and is lured by a stalwart young girl to the house of her father, Antiphates, king of the Lestrygonians. In this episode, Antiphates is hunger. The decoy, the daughter, is food, and the Lestrygonians are teeth. This episode of Ulysses, whose underlying metaphor is digestion, depicts the relentless process of destruction, death, and laborious rebirth as Bloom moves around Dublin's city centre. Revolted by the animalistic feeding frenzy in the Burton restaurant, Bloom takes wine and a cheese sandwich in Davy Byrne's pub instead, where he has a vivid recollection of lying with Molly on Howth Head during their courtship. Reading from Lestrygonians is Martin Giles.
Duke Street. Here we are. Must eat. The Burton. Feel better then. He turned Coleridge's corner, still pursued, jingling hoof thuds, perfumed bodies, warm, full, all kissed, yielded in deep summer fields, tangled pressed grass, in trickling hallways of tenements, along sofas, creaking beds. Jack, love, darling, kiss me, Reggie, my boy, love. His heart astir, he pushed in the door of the Burton restaurant. Stink gripped his trembling breath, pungent meat juice, slush of greens. See the animals feed. Men, men, men. Perched on high stools by the bar, hats shoved back. At the tables calling for more bread, no charge, swilling, wolfing gobfuls of sloppy food, their eyes bulging, wiping wetted mustaches. A pallid, suet-faced young man polished his tumbler, knife, fork, and spoon with his napkin. New set of microbes. A man with an infant sauce-stained napkin tucked round him shoveled gurgling soup down his gullet. A man spitting back on his plate, half-masticated gristle, gums, no teeth to chew it. Chomp, chop from the grill, bolting to get it over. Sad boozer's eyes, bitten off more than he can chew. Am I like that? See ourselves as others see us. Hungry man as an angry man. Working tooth and jaw. Don't! Oh, a bone. That last pagan king of Ireland, Cormac, in the school poem, choked himself at Sletty, southward of the Boyne. Wonder what he was eating. Something voluptuous. St. Patrick converted him to Christianity. Couldn't swallow it all, however. Roast beef and cabbage, one stew. Smells of men. Spat on sawdust, sweetish, warmish cigarette smoke, reek of plug. Spilt beer, men's beery piss, the stale of ferment. His gorge rose. Couldn't eat a morsel here. Fellow sharpening knife and fork to eat all before him. Old chap picking his tootles, slight spasm, full, chewing the cud, before and after. Grace after meals. Look on this picture, then on that. Scoffing up stew gravy with sopping sippets of bread. Lick it off the plate, man. Get out of this. He gazed round the stooled and tabled eaters, tightening the wings of his nose. 2 stouts here, 1 corned and cabbage. That fella ramming a knife full of cabbage down as if his life depended on it. Good stroke. Give me the fidgets to look. Safer to eat from his 3 hands. Tear it limb from limb, second nature to him, born with a silver knife in his mouth. That's witty, I think. Or no, silver means born rich. Born with a knife, but then the illusion is lost. An ill-girt server gathered sticky, clattering plates. Rock, the head bailiff, standing at the bar, blew the foamy crown from his tankard. Well up, it splashed yellow near his boot. A diner, knife and fork upright, elbows on table, ready for a second helping, stared towards the food lift across his stained square of newspaper. Other chap telling him something with his mouth full. Sympathetic listener. Table talk. I munched the bungle munchte. Ha, did you, Faith? Mr. Bloom raised 2 fingers doubtfully to his lips. His eyes said, not here, don't see him. Out. I hate dirty eaters. He backed towards the door. Get a light snack in Davy Burns. Stopgap. Keep me going. Had a good breakfast. Roast and mashed here. Pint of stout. Every fella for his own. Tooth and nail. Gulp. Grub. Gulp. Gob stuff. He came out into clearer air and turned back towards Grafton Street. Eat or be eaten. Kill. Kill. Suppose that communal kitchen, years to come perhaps, all trotting down with porringers and tummy cans to be filled. Devour contents in the street. John Howard Parnell, example, the provost of Trinity, every mother's son, don't talk of your provosts, and provost of Trinity, women and children, cabmen, priests, parsons, field marshals, archbishops, from Aylesbury Road, Clyde Road, artisans' dwellings, North Dublin Union, Lord Mayor and his gingerbread coach, old Queen in a bath chair. My plate's empty. After you with our incorporated drinking cup, like Sir Philip Crampton's fountain, rub off the microbes with your handkerchief. Next chap rubs on a new batch with his. Father O'Flynn would make hares of them all. Having rows all the same, all for number 1, children fighting for the scrapings of the pot. Want a soup pot as big as the Phoenix Park, harpooning flitches and hindquarters out of it. Hate people all round you. City Arms Hotel, table d'hote, she called it, soup, joint and sweet, never know whose thoughts you're chewing. Then who'd wash up all the plates and forks? Might be all feeding on tabloids that time. Teeth getting worse and worse. After all, there's a lot in that vegetarian. Fine flavour of things from the earth. Garlic, of course, it stinks after Italian organ grinders. Crisp of onions, mushrooms, truffles. Pain to the animal, too. Pluck and draw fowl, wretched brutes there at the cattle market waiting for the poleaxe to split their skulls open. Moo, poor trembling calves. Meh, staggering bubble and squeak. Butchers, buckets, wobbly lights. Give us that brisket off the hook. Plop, raw head and bloody bones, flayed glass-eyed sheep, hung from their haunches, sheep snouts bloody, papered, snivelling nose jam on sawdust, top and lashers going out. Don't maul them pieces, young one. Hot, fresh blood they prescribe for decline. Blood always needed. Insidious. Lick it up, smoking hot, thick sugary. Famished ghosts. I'm hungry. He entered Davy Burns. Moral pub. He doesn't chat. Stands a drink now and then, but in leap year once in 4. Cashed a cheque for me once. What will I take now? He drew his watch. Let me see now. Shandygaff. Hello, Bloom, Nosy Flynn said from his nook. Hello, Flynn. How's things? Tip-top. Let me see. I'll take a glass of Burgundy and let me see. Sardines on the shelves. Almost taste them by looking. Sandwich? Ham and his descendants mustard and bread there. Potted meats. What is home without plum trees? Potted meat. Incomplete. What a stupid ad. Under the obituary notices they stuck it. All up a plum tree. Dignum's potted meat. Cannibals wood with lemon and rice. White missionary too salty, like pickled pork. Expect the chief consumes the parts of honour. Ought to be tough from exercise. His wives in a row to watch the effect. There was a right royal old black who ate or something, the somethings of the Reverend Mr. Mac. With it an abode of bliss. Lord knows what concoction. Calls, mouldy tripes, windpipes, faked and minced up. Puzzle find the meat. Kosher. No meat and milk together. Hygiene, that was what they call now. Yom Kippur, fast spring cleaning of inside. Peace and war depend on some fellow's digestion. Religions, Christmas turkeys and geese, slaughter of innocents, eat, drink and be merry, then the casual wards full after, heads bandaged. Cheese digests all but itself. Mighty cheese. Have you a cheese sandwich? Yes, sir. Like a few olives too, if they had them. Italian, I prefer. Good glass of Burgundy, take away that. Lubricate. A nice salad, cool as a cucumber. Tom Kernan can dress, puts gusto into it, pure olive oil. Millie served me that cutlet with a sprig of parsley. Take one Spanish onion. God made food, the devil that cooks. Deviled crab. Wife, well, quite well, thanks. A cheese sandwich then. Gorgonzola, have you? Yes, sir. Nosy Flynn sipped his grog. Doing any singing these times? Look at his mouth. Could whistle in his own ear. Flap ears to match. Music, knows as much about it as my coachman. Still, better tell him. Does no harm. Free ad. She's engaged for a big tour end of this month. You may have heard, perhaps. No. Oh, that's the style. Who's getting it up? The curate served. How much is that? 70, sir. Thank you, sir. Mr. Bloom cut his sandwich into slender strips. Mr. Mac. Easier than the dreamy, creamy stuff. His 500 wives had the time of their lives. Mustard, sir. Thank you. He studied under each lifted strip, yellow blobs. Their lives. I have it. It grew bigger and never felt slack. Getting it up, he said. Well, it's like a company idea. You see, part shares and part profits. Aye, now I remember, Nosy Flynn said, putting his hand in his pocket to scratch his groin. Who is this was telling me? Isn't Blazes Boylan mixed up in it? A warm shock of air, heat of mustard, hanched on Mr. Bloom's heart. He raised his eyes and met the stare of a bilious clock. 2. Pub clock 5 minutes fast. Time going on. Hands moving. 2. Not yet. His midriff yearned then upward, sank within him, yearned more longingly. Wine. He smell-sipped the cordial juice and, bidding his throat strongly to speed it, set his wine-glass delicately down. Yes, he said, he's the organizer in point of fact. No fear, no brains. Nosy Flynn snuffled and scratched, Flea having a good square meal. He had a good slice of luck. Jack Mooney was telling me over that boxing match. Myler Keogh won again that soldier in the Portobello Barracks. By God, he had the little kipper down in the County Carlow, he was telling me. Hope that dewdrop doesn't come down into his glass. No, snuffled it up. For near a month, man, before it came off. Sucking dog kegs, by God, till further orders. Keep him off the booze, see. Oh, by God, Blazes is a hairy chap. Davy Byrne came forward from the hind bar in tuck-stitched shirt sleeves, cleaning his lips with 2 wipes of his napkin, herring's blush. Whose smile upon each feature plays with such and such replete. Too much fat on the parsnips. And here's himself and pepper on him, Nosy Flynn said. Can you give us a good one for the Gold Cup? I'm off that, Mr. Flynn, Davy Bird answered. I never put anything on a horse. You're right there, Nosy Flynn said. Mr. Bloom ate his strips of sandwich, fresh clean bread with relish of disgust, pungent mustard, the feety savor of green cheese. Sips of his wine soothed his palate. Not logwood, that. Tastes fuller this weather with the chill off. Nice quiet bar, nice piece of wood in that counter, nicely planed. Like the way it curves there. I wouldn't do anything at all in that line, Davy Byrne said. It ruined many a man, the same horses. Vintner's sweepstake. Licensed for the sale of beer, wine and spirits for consumption on the premises. Heads I win, tails you lose. True for you, Nosey Flynn said, unless you're in the know. There's no straight sport going now. Linehan gets some good ones. He's given Sceptre today. Zinfandel's the favourite. Lord Howard de Weldon's won at Epsom. Morney Cannon is riding him. I could have got 7-1 against St. Amant a fortnight before. That's so, Davy Byrne said. He went towards the window and, taking up the petty cash book, scanned its pages. I could, if faith, Nosey Flynn said, snuffling. That was a rare bit of horse flesh. St. Fruskin was her sire. She won in a thunderstorm, Rothschild's filly with wadding in her ears. Blue jacket and yellow cap. Bad luck to Big Ben Dollard and his John O'Gaunt. He put me off it, aye. He drank resignedly from his tumbler, running his fingers down the flutes. Aye, he said, sighing. Mr. Bloom, champing, standing, looked upon his sigh. Nosy numbskull. Well, I tell him that horse Lenehan. He knows already. Better let him forget. Go and lose more. Fool in his money. Dewdrop coming down again. Colt knows he'd have kissing a woman. Still, they might like. Prickly beards they like. Dogs, cold noses. Old Mrs. Reardon with the rumbling stomach, Skye Terrier in the City Arms Hotel. Molly fondling him in her lap. Oh, the big doggy bow-wowsy, wowsy. Wine soaked and softened, rolled pith of bread mustard a moment, mawkish cheese. Nice wine it is. Taste it better because I'm not thirsty. Bath, of course, does that. Just a bite or two. Then about 6 I can. 6. 6. Time will be gone then. She. Mild fire of wine kindled his veins. I wanted that badly. Felt so off colour. His eyes unhungrily saw shelves of tins, sardines, gaudy lobster's claws. All the odd things people pick up for food. Out of shells, periwinkles with a pin, off trees, snails out of the ground, the French eat, out of the sea with bait on a hook. Silly fish learn nothing in 1,000 years. If you didn't know, risky, putting anything into your mouth. Poisonous berries, Johnny Magories. Roundness you think good, gaudy colour warns you off. One fella told another, and so on. Try it on the dog first. Led on by the smell or the look. Tempting fruit. Ice cones, cream, instinct. Orange groves, for instance, need artificial irrigation. Bleeptrustrasse. Yes, but what about oysters? Unsightly like a clot of phlegm, filthy shells, devil to open them to. Who found them out? Garbage, sewage they feed on. Fizz and red bank oysters. Effect on the sexual aphrodise. He was in the red bank this morning. Was he oysters, old fish at table, perhaps he young flesh in bed? No, June has no oysters, but there are people like things. High. Tainted game, jugged hare. First catch your hare. Chinese eating eggs 50 years old, blue and green again. Dinner of 30 courses, each dish harmless, might mix inside. Idea for a poison mystery. That Archduke Leopold, was it? No, yes, or was it Otto, one of those Habsburgs? Or who was it used to eat the scruff off his own head? Cheapest lunch in town. Of course, aristocrats. Then the others copy to be in the fashion. Millie, too. Rock oil and flour. Raw pastry I like myself. Half the catch of oysters they throw back in the sea to keep up the price. Cheap, no one would buy. Caviar. Do the grand. Hock in green glasses. Swell blowout lady this. Powdered bosom pearls. The elite. Creme de la creme. They want special dishes to pretend they're hermit with a platter of pulse keep down the stings of the flesh. Know me, come eat with me. Royal Sturgeon, High Sheriff Coffee, the butcher, right to venisons of the forest from his ex. Sent him back the half of a cow. Spread I saw down in the Master of the Rolls kitchen area. White-hatted chef like a rabbi. Combustible duck, curly cabbage a la Duchesse de Parme. Just as well to write it on the bill of fare so you can know what you've eaten. Too many drugs spoil the broth, I know it myself. Dosing it with Edward's desiccated soup. Geese stuffed silly for them, lobsters boiled alive. Do partake some ptarmigan. Wouldn't mind being a waiter in a swell hotel. Tips, evening dress, half-naked ladies. May I tempt you to a little more filleted lemon sole, Miss Dubedat? Yes, do, bedad. And she did, bedad. Huguenot name, I expect that. A Miss Dubedat lived in Killiney, I remember. Du de la French. Still, it's the same fish, perhaps. Old Mickey Hanlon of Moore Street ripped the guts out of making money hand over fist. Finger in fish's gills, can't write his name on a check. Think he was painting the landscape with his mouth twisted. He, ignorant as a quiche of brogues, worth £50,000. Stuck on the pane, 2 flies buzzed. Stuck. Thank you.